Come one, come all, come down to the Wolves' Den Pier and test your luck in the arena.
Huh? What's this?
You, sir, you look like you can handle yourself in a fight. Come on down to the Wolves' Den Pier, dive into an exciting fight against your fellow adventurers.
Is that safe?
It's probably not, but that's fine. We're looking for fighters of all sorts, types, genders, large fighters, small fighters, quick fighters, slow fighters, carbuncle-obsessed baristas who like to interview people.
That last one seems very oddly specific.
Don't worry about it. Just come join us down at the pier today for a good old-fashioned fight in crystalline conflict or the front lines.
What? What time is... Oh, hello, my friend. I had the weirdest dream. This guy was trying to get baristas down to the arena or something. It was really weird. But anyway. Hi, hello, good morning. Let me go ahead and get you a drink. Sorry, Gosh, that was weird. Also, kind of weird timing. I had a dream about Wolves' Den Pier, and a friend of mine is coming by the cafe in a bit to promote new tournaments down there. I guess the arena's been on my mind lately. I mean, it's pretty fun, but... I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. Whatever. Anyway, my friend who's coming by is also quite the veteran of Frontlines and Crystalline Conflict. I'm sure you've heard the name Bulletproof Heart, right? Sometimes known as John. Anyway, I think I'm gonna pour myself a drink as well and try and wake up a little before he arrives. Gosh, that was weird. John, are you with us? If you can hear us, turn this flashlight on and then off again.
Okay.
It's like I can hear him. It's like he is here with us.
Click, 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 click.
Oh. Huh. You know, for someone whose name is John is Dead, you seem pretty alive.
Yeah, I am alive and well, but also dead.
But also, inside, is this like a secret late stage emo thing that...
I guess kind of it is, but not really like that though. I get asked about the screen name quite a bit.
For those that are confused, my guest today, as advertised, is my friend John, whose screen name across social media and Discord is John is Dead. And so I was like, well, a seance joke seems appropriate.
Yeah.
But by all means, like, why, before we get into anything, since we're already here, why John is Dead? What's the reason behind that?
I'm an old school emo kid. One of my favorite bands is My Chemical Romance, of course. Right? How original! But they released a DVD at the end of their Black Parade era, and it was advertised as The Black Parade is Dead, and it was pretty dramatic. I liked it. It's kind of supposed to mimic like old headlines of like like when newspapers would announce like the death of an actor or politician or somebody famous. They would say, so and so is dead. So that's where it came from. It's just a little bit of theatrics.
Obviously, I'm not familiar with theatrics whatsoever. Well, I mean, I'd say welcome to the podcast, but in truth, we've spent the past half hour chatting away about PvP, and then finally we were like, we should probably record some of this.
I know, right?
So now that we're actually recording, it's nice to have you on Coffee and Carbuncles.
Yeah, it's good to be back on Coffee and Carbuncles.
Right?
Yeah, you reminded me. I forgot that I've actually been on the show before.
You have. During
Oh.
season 1, my interview with Ro, you actually contributed some voice acting.
Yeah, that was my first and only voice acting ever. You sent me the notes and I looked at it and I was like, what is he talking about? I've never been on his show. So I went back into season 1 and I remember I had listened to it a long time ago. And so I was like, maybe he just got it confused. I'm going to re-listen to it. And then I heard myself at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I forgot that I did this. Like, oh, got hit with a little bit of
so long ago.
Just a little echo of embarrassment. It was fun though. It was fun.
Oh goodness, PvP has changed a lot since back then.
Yeah, it has.
Oh my gosh, that is something we'll get into later in the interview. But that being said, welcome back to Coffee and Carbuncles.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back. Not really back. I don't know. I'm happy to be here. I was pretty excited when you told me that you wanted to have me on the show. I am a frequent listener. I enjoy your show. I usually listen to it, like either on my way to work or sometimes like during like a long, boring shift at work. I'll put it on. It's good, cozy vibes. I'm a big fan.
See, that always worries me a little because I have people who, in like the same paragraph, go, Coffee and Carbuncles makes me so calm and it's so soothing. And by the way, I listen to it on long drives. And I'm like, maybe hopefully not at night, like, or with coffee, please. Energy drink, at least. Like, I don't want to cause any car accidents, guys.
Have people told you that they listen to it to go to sleep yet, though?
Yes, actually. Okay. I've gotten that before. There are people, and that's always one of those things where on one hand I'm flattered, and on the other hand I'm like, I'm putting people to sleep?
That's what I was going to ask you.
Boring. Like, it makes me feel. Yeah. But no, it's more of it really helps them relax, and I'm glad for that. But the first time someone said it, I was like, oh God, am I boring? Do I need to like revise my entire thing?
Welcome to Coffee and Carbuncles.
Yeah, maybe
crazy that's with the intro. You could do like the FM radio show intro. This ain't your mother's extreme rock radio.
That's it. Season 4. I'm just gonna have Ro do all the intros in character and just
there you go.
It's one of the problems with having PvP episodes is when it comes to specifically PvP, there's only so much to talk about. And in a perfect world, I would love to have you on, Ro on, Brian on, a few other people in the PvP community. But at the same time, there really is only so much to talk about at one time when it comes to PvP in 14. And so it makes it kind of limited.
Yeah, I mean, it would. I mean, there's things that you could stretch out into pretty long conversations. I don't think that all of those would necessarily make a good podcast, though. So,
well, and that's why we ended up chatting for half an hour before we even hit record. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about in regards to 14 PvP. How much of that would be, entertaining on a podcast or fit this podcast specifically is several other issues, unfortunately.
because if we wanted to, like, we could get down to talking about the numbers, like, and I could go off, pretty much all day. But I don't think many people would like to listen to that.
Specific map strats. But that actually is the type of stuff we'll get into. We'll talk about PvP more in part 2 of this podcast. Part 1 is introducing you. And I know you, but other people may not. So, to start with, where do you hail from? Where are you joining us from today?
I'm in the rainy, blustery Pacific Northwest right now.
I've had a startling amount of guests from the Pacific Northwest on lately, and I didn't realize how many 14 players live around Washington State.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us up here. I was able to actually meet up with somebody from 14KO, Brian's stream team that I'm on. We went out, we had sushi together, and it was a good time. It turned out we actually have a lot in common. We both come from the same state. Our wives are both in the same line of work. It was pretty interesting.
I live near Kansas City. I don't know enough about what happens up near Washington, but if there's ever like a 14 convention up in that area, I hope people will tell me, because it seems like there's enough of a 14 community up there, especially with people I've met from the community, that it'd be really neat to head up there sometime and hang out with you guys.
It would be a lot of fun. It's something that I've looked for, and it doesn't exist. But I think it could. If I had the means, I'd be on top of it. Trust me. But
I mean, Gateway Fate in St. Louis is only 2 years old. It might happen. I wouldn't count it out quite yet.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't count it out. I just kind of waiting for it to grow into that. Hopefully, it would be nice. For how old Final Fantasy 14 is, it's really only kind of blown up since Shadowbringers and the COVID lockdown era.
Yeah, I agree.
And once more the general public was exposed to it through just looking for something to do with their friends online, exposed through Twitch or YouTube, different things like that, and we saw more fan stuff meet up. There was I forget what it was called, but it was in New York. There was the pop-up cafe that was fan run. Gateway Fate, it's a couple years old now. And that's an unofficial fan-made convention.
I just need to drag all you Washington people to St. Louis with me for Gateway Fate next year.
I'm going to Gateway Fate next year.
Are you really?
Yeah. I'm working with Brian and Gidson on possibly something special. I can't give any details right now, but we've got some plans for Gateway Fate 2026.
I have such a big grin on my face right now. I wish you could see it. October next year, you and I need to go out for dinner, good sir, because I have known you since before both of us started content creation.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been mutuals on Twitter and been texting and stuff. So yeah, it'd be good. I'll drag you out with Gidson. Put some ale in you, and we'll arm wrestle or do something crazy.
You know what? I can't say how good I'd be at arm wrestling, but let's go. 2026. As for this podcast, we'll get back on track eventually.
Yeah. I'm a derailer. I'm a habitual derailer. I'm sorry. I'm a gabber. I'm a talker.
Well, and it doesn't help that we've known each other for a while, so this is how we communicate. This is why 30 minutes in we were like, "Oh, and look, we aren't recording yet."
Yeah.
But attempting to get back on track. This will keep happening. I'm so sorry. Is there anything that before we dive into 14 specific stuff that you do outside of 14 that you want to share, like a bit more about you.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've always been kind of a creative person, so I like to do a lot of creative stuff. I draw a lot. I used to make music when I'm younger. I'm in the process of getting started on some of that again. I kind of a social butterfly. I kind of like to hang out. I like to be, where the action is. I like to be hanging out. Um, yeah, I don't know.
While we're talking about music, I'm sure you heard on past episodes. So, my favorite emo kid phase band is AFI. Are you an AFI fan?
I am an AFI fan, although
Well,
they've kind of transcended the emo.
they did.
They've gone through phases. They started off as, pretty 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 it was just punk rock, and then they kind of transitioned into doing a little bit more of the 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 emo stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then they moved towards more of a pop rock sound. Good band though, very talented. One of my faves. One of my faves. What's your favorite song?
I am going to be sitting here for the next hour trying to figure that out if we try. So, um, you know, probably Leaving Song Part 2.
Good. Mine's on that album too. Mine's on that album too.
Oh, it was just such a good album.
It was a good album.
The weird thing is, in high school, I had friends that were really big punk rock fans, but they didn't really like emo music. And so, as AFI sort of made that transition, it was a little weird because, like, me and my friends, we were all really big AFI fans, but of different albums.
Yeah.
And even now, that's still the case where some of my friends ended up being AFI fans after Silver and Cold and Love Like Winter, like after that. And so we're all like, yeah, we like AFI, but very different album groups.
Yeah, I kind of seem to remember it was similar in my circle of friends growing up.
It's kind of like Linkin Park.
Really?
I think so. I mean, I feel like Linkin Park. I I like Linkin Park, but also like AFI, you can definitely group their sound by like 2 or 3 albums.
Yeah, I suppose you can. I mean, they've always kind of they've always had a very what's the word? They've always had the secret Linkin Park ingredient, though. You could always tell it was, you could always tell it was Linkin Park. But yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
That's like the third derailment we've had in like 20 minutes.
It's gonna be
Oh
hell on
goodness.
rails, bud.
Oh goodness. Well, see, it's almost appropriate given the new trial that came out.
Yeah, that's the name of the new trial is Hell on Rails.
It sounds like it'd be an AFI album.
I think it would work. I think it would work. I'm with you on that one.
But our emo phases aside, I'm gonna go and wash the black hair dye out of my hair now and ask how you came upon Final Fantasy. Like, how did you come to the franchise?
I was exposed to Final Fantasy very, very early on in my life. I played Final Fantasy One on the NES. I didn't really get it. I didn't really understand it. And then I played what got renamed in the US Final Fantasy Two, and which is Final Fantasy Four. But the first one that I got and played through completely and really fell in love with was Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, nice choice.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy is very important to me. It's my favorite game franchise. It's always been kind of part of my life. So
What really grabbed you about Final Fantasy VIII?
Oh man, do you even have to ask? Okay, so it's like 1999. You've got Final Fantasy VIII, Gundam Wing is on Cartoon Network, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory just came out. What else? What else is there, man? You just I guess you just had to be there, dude. It spoke to my little uh I don't know, it just spoke to my teenage boy soul.
I mean, I think that in that time period, especially with like the angsty music and everything, I think Squall just fits right in there. And the leather,
Yeah.
all the leather and all the
Yeah.
zippers.
Yep. Yes. Squall Leonhardt and Hiro Yui are indelible. They're part of my life, part of my soul.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I've never really thought about the two of them like next to each other, but honestly, I feel like they could swap clothes and they'd both still do pretty good in each other's roles.
Yeah, I was quite taken with it.
So, what brought you from Final Fantasy VIII to Final Fantasy XIV then?
I just played them as they came out. I started playing Final Fantasy 11. I didn't start playing it on release. I did not have a PC that was capable of playing it at the time, and I didn't have the PlayStation hard drive or modem or anything like that. So I was kind of late. But I played Final Fantasy 11. And I played that right up through the release of 1.0 for 14. So yeah, it's just kind of as they come out, I play them.
When you first started playing 14, I mean, obviously PvP came out later in 14. What was it like starting out? What were you doing pre-release of PvP, basically? Like, tell me about your early year in 14.
So I did not transition to 14. I didn't start playing 14 until after A Realm Reborn came out. So I missed 1.0. Basically, I just my crappy little laptop at the time could not handle it. There was lots of complaints online about graphics being too hard for computers to deal with. It was just 1.0 was a mess. So I did not join then. I joined, I think, like at 2.2 or something like that. And PvP had just come out, so it was the Fold and Frontlines at the time. And initially, I just, I would occasionally do like a Frontlines battle, but I was not a dedicated PvPer when I first started playing.
Original PvP was interesting because unlike now where they've done these things to try and make it more accessible, original PvP was literally just whatever level and gear you're at, go.
Yep.
And that was wild.
It was very wild. It was, you had your full job kit. Some of the abilities were altered to have, a different effect, versus other players instead of versus monsters. But yeah, you could queue in as a level 30 with no PvP gear, no PvP materia, get absolutely curb stomped with no explanation of how the mode works. It was an interesting time. I still have pieces of PvP materia though.
I think I still have one that's just kind of like a commemorative keepsake hiding out in one of my papers.
Yeah, that's exactly why I keep them. I keep them because it's just it's a keepsake.
It's like still having one belt somewhere in your inventory. You're just like, yeah. I'm old and I need to prove it.
Yeah, I've still got a handful of belts, still got a handful of PvP materia, still got a handful of elemental potions and elemental materia. What was it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. The scroll that you would use to wipe your attribute points so that you could respec.
Oh wow. I completely forgot about elemental materia.
Yeah,
That's been a good while.
yeah, I
They did away
remember.
with elements pretty early in 14.
Yeah, I remember when they
Wow.
uh when they got rid of it. They got rid of the attribute points that you could assign to your stats. I remember because summoners and scholars would have to keep a stock of them on supply if they wanted to switch jobs to play the other.
I still remember when I had a warrior, I had a water axe and I had a fire axe, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep both of these and switch as needed.
Yeah, I think I still have the elemental axes. They don't have the attribute anymore, but I think I still have them on a retainer.
Gosh, I just wow, that is what, like 8 years ago now?
Um, Longer.
Yeah, because they got
They're,
rid of the element stuff really early.
they did. They got rid of elemental attributes really early, and then shortly after that, they got rid of physical damage types for piercing, slashing, blunt.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it ended up being a good thing because a lot of that elemental stuff, it was either done really overboard or ended up just kind of being like flavoring on numbers that really didn't change much anyway. Like, for instance, your base attribute points, unless you were really sinking all of them into one stat, didn't hold a huge change to what you were doing, basically. Or you wanted to try and do
Yeah,
some weird things so far outside of the meta that
yeah. I remember. They ultimately they didn't really have much of an impact on what you were doing in game unless you were like going for those week one world first clears.
yeah. Or you wanted to do something weird, like for some reason be a dragoon but had really high magic stat or something. It was interesting.
It was a different time. It was a different time, Nobu.
All right, John and I are gonna go take our pills and our applesauce and
Take
go
ibuprofen
back to
with
our
me.
retirement communities, and we will be back later once we have our naps for part 2 of this interview. I can feel my bones creaking. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
All right. I had my applesauce and my nap. I woke up and I'm back. Apparently, John went outside and waved his cane at some kids and then challenged them to PvP. His wife called the cops, but now we're both back. Those
Yeah, we're
poor,
back.
poor kids. They were not ready for PvP.
The youth these days. Don't get me started on them.
Several lawsuits later. Anyway, so I had you on, and I have you on right now because I want to talk about everything you've been doing with PvP in terms of the 14 community. And to start with, let's just talk about how you wrapped up season 1 of a wild 31-week PvP roulette event. How are you feeling, man? I mean, clearly PvP is serious business around here.
Yeah, it's very serious business. I'm feeling pretty good about it though. It's it was a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of different parts of it that kind of like, fulfill needs or desires of mine. Like we were saying earlier, I try to be a creative person. So, every week I get to create a new flyer, draw a new flyer. Some weeks I would get extra creative and make a trailer out of clips from previous weeks. And then I get to hang out with and get to meet and make new friends with PvP community members. So I feel pretty good about it.
So let's just dive into it. What have you been doing for 31 weeks? I mean, tell us about it. What is it? How did it come together? How did you find people? I noticed you put a lot of effort into getting some really top of the line community members to do commentary, and not just that, but a lot of the times those same community members that did commentary one week ended up doing PvP the next week. And not even just from one data center. I mean, you got EU players coming in and getting pretty heavily involved. Just let's talk about what you've been up to for 31 weeks. Wow.
Yeah, so the event it's called Community Roulette, and it's just a play on like duty roulette from the game, and I kind of incorporated that into not just the name, but the way that it's organized, like with using like a spin wheel to select the maps that we're going to fight on, and randomization of the teams. But basically it's just a way to have a little spectacle and create an environment where people who have not gotten a chance to participate in what we call LP, which is light party, team-based crystalline conflict. Because if you just go by what the game gives you, you queue into a match with randoms for casual, or you queue into a match with randoms for ranked. And there's no team option aside from creating custom matches, which, you need 10 people for. And, not everybody has a team. Not everybody has 10 people online at the same time that are interested in it. But Square Enix and, Yoshi P, like they want to have these big tournaments every couple of years for FanFest. So, need some opportunities to give people a chance to experience what it's like to actually play with a team where you can communicate with them, you can talk, strategize. So that's kind of what it is. We just invite people to come out. We've got a Discord set up with a couple voice channels, one for Team Astra, one for Team Umbra. And I have a web app that just, I put in a list of names for everybody that signed up to play that night. And it randomizes them into 5-man teams. I'll take a look at it, because we don't want it to randomly put, 2, Giga Chads up against a team of players that are just trying out for the first time. So I'll make manual tweaks here and there to keep teams balanced. And we'll do a best of 3 with live commentary, streamed on Twitch. And then when that best of 3 is over, we break the parties and re-randomize and go again. A lot of the it's kind of run like a locals event for fighting game community. The people that are participating are the people that are in love with the game mode. So when somebody wants to do commentary, like somebody that's part of the community is going to be, my first choice of people that I invite to come on and do it. So that's why you'll see, one week somebody's fighting on teams, and then the next week they're doing commentary for matches. But yeah, that's just kind of what it is. I just, I wanted more opportunities for myself to play. And I thought, years ago when I first created it with the Revival PvP, this will be a good way to get people interested. Then I can get some more games. And I just ended up kind of like permanent host. But that's where it came from, and that's what it is. and we invite everybody to come. So we do get people from EU, we get people from Australia as well, that server travel up to come play with us.
And I feel like that's really the best way to do it in terms of the commentary is if you have people who actively participate one week and then do commentary the next week, they're able to give better commentary because they were literally just doing it. I mean, they understand what is going on, not just from a watching perspective, but strategizing, getting involved, everything.
Yeah. And that's kind of my priority. I have invited non-PvP mains or to participate in it, and it's resulted in them becoming more active members of the PvP community. Like a good example of that would be Chili and Paul from Moogle Go Round Radio. Chili's been a good friend of mine for years, and so I invited him to come on years and years ago when I first did the first iteration of it, and then I've had him do commentary a couple times this previous season, and he's a pretty constant player. And Paul got into it because he wanted to give it a try with Chili, and then he got super into PvP. He's part of Squires League now, so.
And I love seeing it. I mean, that's really a key part of it is you need a way for people who say that the only exposure to PvP they've had is doing frontlines because they want their daily tomes. You don't really get the full idea of PvP from that. And I feel like one thing that's really nice about this and the way you've organized it is you have this, I guess the best way I could put it is kind of like safe PvP environment, if that makes sense. A place where people who are curious about PvP can dive into it, and there's really not a lot of pressure there. There's not as many people as a frontline roulette, and you're streaming it on Twitch. As someone who's participated myself, I know that not only are you and the commentators talking about it, but there's so much party chat going on, especially between matches.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's a social event. Really nice, like people come and hang out, and it's a good time.
Though I am curious, you said that you put everyone's names in a roulette, and that's why you have teams with different people. What if you have like 2 or 3 people who are fairly new to PvP? Are they able to ask to be on a team together?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty fluid. It's a very it's a very relaxed setting. I want people to have as much fun as possible. If 2 or 3 people showed up together, I mean, I would look at it. My priority would be to make sure that teams are balanced. I would not want one team that's got no clue what they're doing up against a team full of people that do. Because even though you would want to play with your friend or friends, it would not be as fun if you were to queue into it and get waffle stomped without really understanding what's happening. But yeah, I've let people, maybe somebody who is into the community already is trying to get somebody on their friends list into it, and so they bring them along and be like, hey, they're new, I was wondering if you could slot them on a team with me so that I can kind of keep them under my wing. I generally don't have an issue with that. My priority is that it's fun and that people have a good time. But yeah, the thing is that it is a safe environment. Basically, we don't have we don't really have any issues with bad behavior in the voice chats. Nobody's calling each other names. No one's tilting and smashing their keyboard. The experienced players, the experienced players that do come, many that do come are very competitive. Like we're talking, very top players. They'll come and, they know what to expect. They know that they could end up on a team with brand new players. And a lot of them just kind of vibe with it. Some of the very experienced players that come out pretty frequently, they're now coaches for the Squires League, because they found that teaching new players is really enjoyable. So it's been good. I don't know. Like I was saying, kind of safety, I guess, and fun is the priority.
You've mentioned it twice now. Can you expand on this Squires League? What is it?
That was an event started by Gidson Brand, basically where they would put brand new or kind of new but low ranked and experienced players on teams together and then give them a coach, and then they would play games against each other to learn.
Interesting. So you really do have it not only tiered sort of, but I mean, you really are trying to make PvP accessible as best you can.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us do. So there's my event that, is created to be like competitive, but casual, fun, a place for people to try out team play. If they don't have a team or if they don't have enough friends to try it out, they can come and make new friends. And of course, there's Squires League that was started by Gidson Brand and Fayume from PV Princesses, which is another great group, by the way. A lot of us that are in like the PvP community / content creation community, we want that to be our focus because we want more people to play.
I've noticed that there are some really nice groups who are working very hard to get more people into PvP. For instance, your work with PvP Princesses, also PvP Revival and Primal, right?
No, I don't really work with the Revival. I don't know. I don't know a lot about what they're doing right now. I don't know. I don't have my finger on the pulse over there or for PV Primal.
That's fine. I just meant that it's nice to see different groups trying to get more of the community involved in PvP.
Yeah, the big ones that I'm really familiar with and that I spend a lot of time with are, like I said, like Gidson and Fayume working on different stuff for new and veteran players too. Really, just to make sure that there's something going on for people, so that there's places where people can go and do the things that they like to do.
This isn't the only time you've been involved with organizing PvP, though. I mean, I know this just because I've known you for a few years now, but also you've talked about it previously. During your time playing 14, you've been involved with various groups organizing and involving PvP. Could you sort of like break that down into a timeline or talk about some of the groups you've been involved with?
Yeah, so when was it? It was like Stormblood-ish era, I think, when I really wanted to get more into it because I wanted to play Rival Wings, and I could never seem to figure out when it would pop because you sign up in the duty roulette and it says estimated wait time 30 minutes, and then it just goes on forever and it never pops, and so you think it's just dead. And that's how I came across Brian originally, because he had a Discord called Revival Wings. And so I joined that so that I could play, so I could figure out how to play Rival Wings. And then that turned into the Revival PvP Discord, and that's where I first started LP, like organizing LP events. I would organize frontlines competitions where people would compete for KOs and, high scores and damage and things like that. And then I kind of took a couple years from organizing stuff. And now I work with Gidson and is a member of 14KO, Fayomi, who's a member of 14KO, and she's the leader of PV Princesses. And I've gotten to help them do some really cool stuff. I've gotten to do commentary for the Squires League for Gidson. I've gotten to participate in in dueling tournaments with PV Princesses. PV Princesses also does regular Rival Wing stuff and Frontline stuff, but they're also very theatric folk, and so they like to have Renaissance fairs for milestones. So I've gotten to help organize and host events for their Renaissance fairs that are, of course, all PvP themed. And those are a lot of fun. They go all out. Like they hire in-game bands. They hire in-game role play vendors. I couldn't even list all of them off the top of my head, and I'm afraid that if I got started, I'd leave people out. But lots of different people come to just make it like really entertaining and really fun. I don't know. I just kind of look at what people are doing, and if I think I can add something to it, I offer to help. Yeah, that's about it, I think. I can't think of anything else really. There's not much of a timeline. It's just a few years ago I got into PvP, and I've just been looking for ways to expand the community and do fun shit.
And actually, I think I want to expand on that, because in the time I've known you, you've always been a very big fan of PvP. But beyond that, you've always been a very strong advocate for PvP in 14. I mean, even as it's evolved and changed over the years, and as it's had its share of occasionally serious, occasionally silly community drama, what makes you enjoy PvP content so much? Like, what about PvP really speaks to you and makes you push so hard for trying to get more people involved in it?
So, it has changed a lot over the years, and the, in-game systems have kind of slowly been adding stuff to make getting into it easier, but there's still not enough. And so, myself and a lot of others would, feel like it's, if the community does not make it happen, then it's not going to happen. So that's why I've always been, an advocate and kind of like outreach and trying to get people interested in it through, different things like social media or art or video or whatever. But the reason why, is because for me, it's just the most fun in the game. I do enjoy the story of, Final Fantasy 14. I enjoy going through the dungeons, the first couple times, maybe, the same with the trials and raids. But being blunt, by about the third time I've done something, I'm kind of ready to take a nap. It's very formulaic. The mechanics of different, different encounters in the game. It's a memorization game, and so you learn to jump rope, and then the challenge after that is, having a new player or, I don't know, staying awake, I guess. But with PvP, it's always different. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to bring what jobs, who you don't, if you're in Frontlines, you don't know if the other team's got like a really good commander or if it's got, a bunch of pre-made guys that are all rolling together in voice chat. You have to change your strategy. You have to adapt to the situation. You have to think quick. And so for me, just the rush of a win, in Frontlines or Crystalline Conflict is more exciting, more fun, and more of an accomplishment than, clearing a boss, I guess. Not to say that it's not exciting when you put in a couple hours for an EX and you get to clear and everybody's like, woo, we did it. Or a couple days, for a Savage. Yeah, it's exciting. You get into it, you and your friends all celebrate in Discord. But you don't get it the next time. And then you start to like, all right, well, we got to farm it this many more times so that we can get to mount. We got to farm it this many times so I can get this weapon and this weapon. And it kind of becomes a drag, at least on me, really, really fast. So I think that's why I gravitated towards PvP. I want to share that joy with other people. And being in voice chats during intense matches where you're not sure if you're going to come out on top and you stage a late game comeback and everybody is like yelling and cheering in Discord. It's a lot of fun. For me, it's more steady fun and excitement than PvE.
So it really comes down to fun through variety.
Yeah. It's a consistent challenge. Every now and then, I guess you'll get like an easy win, but that's pretty rare. A lot of times you got to put in a lot of effort, and so it feels really good when it pays off and you get a win. But I'm kind of also a weirdo. Like I don't really tilt. I still find something to enjoy even when I lose. So.
Well, I feel like especially in PvP, I mean, you can have times like for instance, if you're a raider and you're trying to beat a new end game raid and you're steadily, every time you wipe, the boss is getting lower and lower in terms of health percentage. You see that progression and you can still have a really good time even if you wipe, because you're like, well, this time we got it to 5% less HP and that's pretty significant. And I feel like in some ways that's similar to PvP, because you can still have a PvP match that you lose, but if you barely lost that, you can still have had a ton of fun doing it.
Yeah, I think so. And it is fun when you're progging a new raid and you're getting closer and everybody's still fired up and very excited, and everybody's being really optimistic about it and everyone's encouraging each other. That's very fun in raids and in EX trials and stuff like that. Because I do have some Savage clears on my belt. I don't have an ultimate yet though, but that's a goal for 2026. Get an ultimate clear. But I've cleared Savages and EX trials, and that is pretty fun. But it's for me, it pales in comparison to overcoming another human instead of a pattern.
Well, I bring it up because, for instance, the PvP tournament, the last one I attended, we got our butts kicked. We lost pretty much all of our matches. We won one because the other team wasn't there. Yeah,
we did get that default win. Yeah.
But at the same time, you and me and even Chili, who, while he didn't participate because he was kind of our extra guy there, we had so much fun, especially like the party chat between matches.
Yeah, it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. That tournament, so that was for PV Princess's Ren Fair, and a lot of times when people are organizing tournaments, and Gidson can speak more to this than I could, because he does actually organize tournaments. I don't organize actual like full bracket tournaments. But you get a lot of late signups, and you're not really sure, if this team's going to make it, that team's going to make it. This person's trying to get that day off for work, so we don't know if we're going to be there, kind of thing. And it was getting pretty late, so I was like, you know what? I'll reach out to some friends. I'll put together a team so that we can help fill out the bracket. And I hit up you and Moo Go Round Radio, and then I grabbed my buddy Jen from 14KO, and I was like, all right, let's do this, podcasters. We're PvPers now.
And we got matching outfits.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, huh?
Well, like I've told you before, I mean, I don't have as much time as I'd like to get out to PvP tournaments, but when you and Chili are like, hey, come with me, how am I supposed to say no to that?
It's going to be a good time. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that I'm even laughing while talking about how horrible of a job we did really just shows you how much fun I had.
Yeah. I can't really speak for other people, but I think we all kind of expected that to happen. Nobody among us had any tournament experience. I don't know if you had. I don't think you had LP experience prior to that. Chili,
not much.
Chili did a little bit just from coming out to community roulette stuff, and then I have a little bit, and Jen or Kaede, they had a little bit of experience. But yeah, we kind of expected that to happen, but it's all in good fun.
And it was, and that's actually, I do want to transition here a little because I want to talk about that. Is community perception of PvP versus especially the stuff that you've been helping organize and been part of lately. I feel like some people view PvP as kind of this chaotic, just mess, especially those that, like I said, only do frontline roulette. Or they kind of view it as like sweaty and aggressive combat junkie bait. I mean, I know you and Brian Ricardo both tend to view it more as community, obviously. And I can't ask you to speak for Brian or any of the other PvP organizers, but from your perspective, how would you describe the PvP community? I mean, is it just sweaty combat junkies, or how would you explain it to people?
It really is just like any other, smaller community in the wider Final Fantasy 14 player base. A lot of the people that, you would say are members of the PvP community, they're members of other aspects of the community too. There's a lot of overlap between like role playing and venue type people and PvP people. There's a lot of overlap between like G posers, a lot of overlap with raiding communities too. So it's the same people. They're just, they're just doing a different thing. There are going to be, the sweat lords. But that's going to be, that's but the same goes for, people that, will take role playing extremely seriously or take raiding extremely seriously. But yeah, it's the same people that you do your dailies with. It's the same people that you go to the venue with. The same people that you come across in Party Finder. A lot of good people. They're memers. They're memers for sure. But good people. It can be intimidating because, you don't want to go out for something for the first time and get stomped and then have a whole bunch of people say something bad about you and make you feel bad for trying something out when you didn't even know, which is normal. And unfortunately it does happen, but, it's no more than anywhere else. I would say that in the PvP community, if you have the courage to speak up and say, "Hey, I'm new. Can somebody give me a hand? Like, kind of tell me what I'm supposed to be doing on my job or in this situation," they will dogpile, like climb over each other to try and help you, because everybody wants, more people to queue up. They want more people to play with. They want more people to play against. And then they want those people to learn to play well so that the quality of the matches that they're getting goes up. So, yeah, if you're shy, just take that one little step and just, ask for maybe a touch of help, and you will all of a sudden make a whole bunch of new friends. They'll flood you with all kinds of advice and resources to help get you on your feet. So it can be very welcoming.
And something I'd like to highlight for anyone who might be nervous but is listening to this and has gotten a bit curious about organized PvP. As we've joked about, as John can attest to, we got our butts handed to us. We lost PvP horribly during that tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And there were a few other teams that didn't do that hot, and that's normal for, organized tournaments. Before and after every match, between teams, it was all love. I mean, no one like DM'd any of us or said in shout chat, a bunch of negative stuff that I'm not gonna say on here. We all had a good time. I mean, we were taking literal G-pose pics with each other, and other teams between matches.
Yeah,
like there was community going on there.
Yeah,
and it was great.
That's pretty much how it goes. Everybody that enjoys it is there because they want to have fun. And when you get a whole bunch of people together that are all very passionate and interested in something, make a lot of friends, make a lot of memories. It's a good time.
And I'll be the first to admit, I was not expecting when I joined up for that and we all teleported to Wolves Den Pier, I wasn't expecting that you'd see a bunch of teams emoting, using firework items. We'd all be taking screenshots together and, using say and shout chat between matches. I mean, yeah, we had some fun jabs at each other, being like, all right, we're going up against you. We're going to win this. But there was no griefing going on there. There was no negativity as far as I could tell. I mean, I think that, like you said, everyone was there because they wanted to be there. And we had a lot of fun. And let's be honest, if you're joining a PvP tournament, in terms of like getting new people and unexpected people showing up, no one's expecting like me of all people to come at you on a PvP team as a monk. No one's expecting Chili to be there, and turns out he's actually really good at PvP. It's fun. It's fun, and you don't know what to expect, and that also makes it more fun just inherently.
Yeah, that and the PD Princesses, they put on a good show. Like I was kind of saying earlier, they had the bards there playing all kinds of different music. They're doing, prize giveaways, in between matches. So it's a good time. For Community Roulette, we do a lot of that, and there's a lot of memeing and a lot of joking in between matches, and we do prize giveaways and stuff. But it's not a scary group of people.
No, not one bit. Though I do feel I need to ask you, you've done this season of organized PvP, and you've been part of other organized PvP efforts. Do you feel like, from the people you've spoken with, that it's changed people's opinions of the 14 community? I mean, what kind of feedback after, for instance, 31 weeks of PvP events are you receiving from people?
So I've done a couple different surveys to get feedback, but that's more so for me to improve the regular event that I run. So it tends to be stuff, specific to that. A person that does like really good kind of reviews of the state of the actual like game modes, every patch is Take. She releases videos where she covers changes in patch notes, and then sometimes towards the end of a season or the end of a patch, like she'll go over, like she'll talk about what it was like playing that season, and she does surveys to collect information. But a lot of the feedback that we get about it is, just kind of like people's opinions on, deep number stuff when it comes to this job's potency or that job's position in a meta, things like that. As far as like community wise, everybody is pretty pumped with how much activity that there's been on the community side for organizing events and getting new players to come out. And recently they just Square Enix just announced that there will be another CCRC for FanFest in all three regions next year. So people are pretty excited about that, and we're getting a lot of people coming into the Discords and asking about, like, oh, where do I find a team? How do I learn?
And you're like, we're right here.
Yeah, we've been waiting for you all this time.
Yeah, I think as we get closer to FanFest, you're probably going to see more people getting excited and getting interested in PvP. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this interview, is because I want people to know that there are places they can go to, and there are community resources and community organizers when it comes to PvP.
Oh, yeah.
And not just FanFest PvP, but like just more casual stuff as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you start with the casual stuff, and then you work your way up as you get better. You look for more challenge. You look for, higher heights. As far as like CCRC goes, the regional tournaments for Crystalline Conflict. So last FanFest was won by a team that was, what's the term? A dark horse. It was not one of the established like teams in our community that everybody knows and everybody expected to win. It was just some people that had been playing, solo queue by themselves, and decided to throw together a team to see what they could do. They ended up getting free flights to FanFest, and they got their hotels taken care of, and they ended up winning the championship. And they were not, they were not one of the established teams that everybody kind of knows and fears when they're up against them in the brackets.
Variety is the spice of life.
It just kind of goes to show that, like with a couple friends and some practice, you too, you could be the winner of CCRC in April. The preliminaries are coming up quick, though. So I think they start first or second week of February. So if you didn't get tickets to FanFest, you still got another shot. You just got to learn to fight each other. And
I believe I know a few groups that can help you learn that.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm sure, having just completed 31 weeks of PvP, this might be too early to ask, but is there a season 2 coming?
Oh, yes, of course. It's a regular event. So we are on a break right now, just because my event, that is Community Roulette, is on break. We'll be back January 15th is when we'll start our regular Thursday nights again. And the reason why we ended up taking a break wasn't for anything other than it's just how holidays and new patches lined up. So I generally won't do one. I won't do an event that week if we've got, say, you know, a new PvP season starting, because more people would prefer to really, hit the ground running. They want to get grinding on their rank. So the season starts Tuesday. Thursday's still a little bit too close to that, so we'll take that Thursday off. We ended up having a new season start, and then now we've got Christmas coming up on Thursday. The Thursday after that is New Year's, and then the Tuesday after that is the new Savage raid tier coming out. And like I was saying earlier, there's a big overlap between PvP and raiders. So a lot of teams are still going to be progging that. So it lined up right in a row like that. So we're, just taking a short break during that time period. But we'll be back to regular Thursday nights, January 15th.
And links to your social media will, of course, be in the show notes. And if people want to get a hold of you and join organized PvP, I'm guessing that's okay?
Oh, absolutely. The more the merrier. I want as many people to come try it as possible. I post pretty regularly. Like one of the bits of feedback that I got specifically for myself is that people really like they really like to come to Community Roulette in the hopes that they get some amazing play, as one of the clips that gets shared around and stuff, which I love too, because again, I love spectacle and theatrics and stuff like that. And it's pretty exciting seeing sometimes like just how creative somebody can get, like in a tense situation. But yeah, and you don't really have to be some insane generational player to make cool plays. You can come out and have greatness thrust upon you.
My absolute favorite is a clutch Dragoon limit break. I will yell when I see that.
Yeah, they actually got a buff last patch where they got a movement speed increase when they're up in the air during their limit break. And so we've gotten to see Dragoons become very sneaky, like tactical bombs, where a good Dragoon will initiate their limit break, like around the corner, out of line of sight from their target, and then sneak around the corner when, your only indication is that ground marker. And so if it's a big pile of people fighting and there's spell effects and attack effects all over the place, people can easily miss it, and then they can drop down and explode the whole team. It's pretty funny. It's a good one to watch.
I summoner main, but in PvP, especially Crystalline Conflict, Dragoon is my go-to class, almost purely because if you get creative enough with that limit break, I mean it does damage, and it's a pretty good feeling to pull off.
Yeah, it's pretty satisfying when you get when you see the big numbers fly up above a bunch of enemy heads.
Oh, for sure. I hate to do this. I don't want to, but we do have to bring the mood down a little. This question was coming, and that's why I saved it for close to the end of the interview. But at the same time, I feel like if we went through this interview and we didn't talk about it, then I don't think I'd be doing a good interview. So let's just go ahead and get to the elephant in the room. It feels like every time PvP is talked about, especially on social media, win trading pops up. It's bound to come up. As someone who's not really in the PvP community as much as I wish I was, I know I see discourse about it quite a bit on social media. as someone who actually is deep in the PvP community and has been for a long time, is win trading, is it common? Is it real? What is it like for someone like you when you see all this talk about win trading pop up on social media?
So first, yes, it is real. And it happens just about every season. And it is unfortunate. Because most of us would like to think that a competitive achievement loses its appeal if it's not actually competitive, if it's not something that you earned. But unfortunately, not everybody agrees with that. So yeah, it is real. It does happen, and it does happen pretty much every season. I can't think of one off the top of my head where it didn't happen. So yeah, it's out there. And then like other bits of Final Fantasy drama, it's going to get talked about and shared on social media. And then of course people are going to engage with that because it's the episode of the week for Final Fantasy drama. It's it's in the lineup. It's part of the televised schedule, so to speak. Once a season, we'll hear about it, I think. But yeah,
How common is it though? I mean, I guess my question is not how common, because we just talked about, but how prevalent is it actually in the PvP community, would you say?
It gets a lot of exposure because it incenses and it offends, and frankly, it pisses a lot of people off. So it does get pushed up. One thing that I would say about like the actual act of it, and what actually goes into this, like you'll see people saying that like they can't climb in ranked because of win traders on the official forums, or they'll somebody will out somebody else on Twitter. So like I was saying, it does happen. It is a real thing, and it is a constant thing. That being said, it's probably not affecting you. The people that do it are very few in number. There's not that many people that actually engage in that kind of behavior. When they do, it's a pretty small group of people that are actually participating in it, and then they've got they've got their friends and kind of people around them that know about it and know it's happening. So eventually, just like anything else, it's going to get leaked. And then somebody will somebody will tattle, somebody will say something, and then it does the rounds on social media. Specifically, like for instance, last season was a player that went by the name Gummy Worm. They were doing it just to kind of harass people, and it's unfortunate, but it was it was not it did not affect as many people as people saw the tweet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They what they were doing is they were in the upper tiers, the high ranks, and they were doing it to grief people. And it was unfortunate because at that top tier, people are really, like they're at the very edge of their skills, and they are trying to test that against other people that are the same. And, it's very frustrating when you are giving it everything you've got, and that can be undone by one person,
It's
so
just
it
terrible
does.
sportsmanship.
Yeah, it's bad sportsmanship. And like anything else, like any other drama and any other aspect of the Final Fantasy community, it does get shared. It does blow up. It gets popular to talk about, but odds are it is not going to affect you. The people that do it, like I said, like they get exposed. People have done it to cheat themselves up to like a rank 1, and then it gets shared around social media. Meadow, who is a high-ranked player, primarily JP region, but they also play high-ranked NA region. They start sharing it, and then Brian starts sharing it, and people start tagging, Square official accounts. And then those people, like after they do their investigation, like they'll revoke that person's achievement and victory, and they'll award it to the person that, really deserved it. So it, generally speaking, it does get fixed. Unfortunately, Square Enix can be a bit slow in fixing it, which doesn't really help people. When you get days or sometimes weeks of people griping and complaining about this person, ruining these matches for people, because you don't get that back. Let's say you're the real rank 1, but somebody, queues up with a handful of friends to manipulate matchmaking 3 or 4 hours before the servers go down for the end of season, and they snake their way ahead of you. You don't get that feeling of achievement back. You may, after they ban that person or kick and, revoke their achievement and revoke their rank 1 and give it to you. Like, yeah, you got it, but it doesn't feel the same. It's kind of tainted. It's kind of ruined. So it's unfortunate. And the PvP community is very vocal about requesting more moderation from Square Enix and the Final Fantasy 14 and that Final Fantasy 14 team in that regard. But I would not let it dissuade anybody from trying. If you're just starting out and you're unranked through platinum or diamond, really, you're not going to run into that. Odds are, at some point along your ranking campaign, you will meet people that will, throw a temper tantrum and maybe throw a game or get angry about something and leave midway through, putting your team at a disadvantage. So that, that'll happen on occasion. But it's pretty rare. You're not running into win traders in gold. You're not running into win traders in platinum. It's not a big organized thing that everybody does. We ran into that, when they first added the Omega and Ultima ranks. We had an issue where achievement hunters were trying to manipulate their way up the ranks. We got some funny memes out of it, but, they were exposed for it. I can't tell you details because I don't have a friend that's a GM to leak them to me, so I don't have them. But people do lose their achievements. They do lose accounts. They do face consequences for this. But yeah, your games are probably not affected by the relatively small handful of people that do engage in that kind of behavior.
So I just want to make sure and emphasize, coming from someone who is a deep part of the PvP community, win trading is not this kind of dark underbelly of PvP that some people online would make it out to be.
Yeah, no, it's very much public. It's not. It's very much public. If somebody's doing it, it becomes common knowledge about who is doing what pretty soon, and it's just a matter of time before they get snatched up by the GMs. Yeah, so don't let it discourage you from joining and playing. You're gonna have a rough time in ranked queues, and that's just the nature of the beast, especially in those first handful of ranks, because players can be inconsistent when they're learning and they're still developing and they're still trying to get better. So it can be a difficult time, but that doesn't mean that somebody's actively griefing your games. It doesn't mean that it's impossible to do because there's like a secret cabal that's manipulating it and you're not in it, so you're not going to rank up. It can be difficult.
PvP Asians.
Yeah. It can be difficult, but it's definitely, I mean, in my opinion, it's worth it. It's a lot of fun.
Speaking of fun, and because I want to bring the mood back up a little, I mean, I appreciate you taking time to talk about that. Like I said, it's not the most comfortable of topics to talk about, but I feel like if we didn't touch on it even a little, then this wouldn't really be a full interview about community and organized PvP.
Oh yeah, for sure. And to be honest with you, Nobu, I don't really have a problem talking about it. I'm pretty vocal about it on social media posts. I'm not very active on the forums, but other people do it there. It's unfortunate. It shouldn't happen, and we do wish that there was like better reporting tools in game for things like that. But it's not that many people. Part of it is just that the PvP community as a whole is pretty small. It's a niche within a niche. And so, when a couple people do act out, unfortunately, the spotlight gets put on them. But it is just a handful of people at any given time. So don't let it dissuade you. Yeah.
On a lighter note, have you gotten to try the new Frontline map with the snowmen yet?
Yeah, I've played a few games. It's a new ranked season, so I've been working on that. But I have taken a few breaks to try out the new Frontline map. It's a blast. I love it.
Those snowmen are so cute. But
yeah. We actually, so there's an ongoing meme in the community with Gidson, who I was talking about earlier. Where he'll try to make friends with the little snowman mount, that your character hops around inside of. And so he'll hop around and see if other people will pop out their snowman. And so when we saw the snow spirits, everyone started tagging him in the different discords.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's a fun map. I really like the design for it. It's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the new region, so it's cool to see Urkapacha get a PvP area. But like the flow of game is really fun. I like the way that I like the mechanics of during the snowstorm. Then the snow spirits, like they'll summon the big snowmen. They'll pop into existence, and if you're in it, it's like a PvE AoE. It'll do a lot of damage to you, but it'll also create a barrier. And then they'll send out like little buffs that you can pick up that will boost your defense, and it's cute. It gives you a damage mitigation, which is cool. I like the way that they did the capture mechanic for the different control points, where you've got to have people in like the different rings around the main point. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've had a good time with it.
I really enjoy seeing with the new Frontlines map, as well as the new Crystal Conflict map, you can really see that they are trying to introduce more dynamic mechanics and more interesting mechanics to PvP. They're not just going, here's a new maze, now go whack each other.
Yeah. Like you can definitely tell that the dev team does care about the PvP experience. They put a lot of thought into it. They put a lot of effort into, into the Frontlines maps, into the Crystalline Conflict arenas. So I don't know. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy like the rotation of like Frontlines maps. I like that they're all a little bit different. They have these different kind of kooky mechanics to them.
So long story short, and this may surprise some of you, John enjoys PvP.
Yeah.
Who would have thought? All right. Well, I feel like we've pretty thoroughly covered community and organized PvP. Obviously, all the plus sides, a bit of the downside, and then some less than great parts that tend to pop up on social media, but whatever, In general, though, I think that it's really neat, like I said, to see you and others trying to do all this community organization around PvP and really bring in more people, as well as, most importantly to me, is create an entry space for new people. That's not just going, all right, well, we're just going to throw you in a match against, me and Ro and Brian and God save you. I think it's really nice that you have a way for people to really try and get their toes wet and slowly get into PvP. And that's awesome.
Yeah, like I was saying before, it's kind of a priority for most people. Like even if they're not, hosting events or organizing tournaments, like even just the other players that are they want more people to play, and then they want those people to become good at it, so that there's better matches. So there's lots of different places to start, and there's lots of different ways to get into the different modes and types of play that you're interested in.
As we finish out this interview, like I ask all my guests, you've given me, let's see, 2.5 hours of your time today, and obviously I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I was really excited when you said that you wanted me to come on the show. I was super excited.
I just wish I could have made it out to more weeks of the PvP tournament. I was watching some of the streams, and season 2, I really want to try and get involved more, both in commentary and actually joining in. I was a little bummed out that my schedule was a bit too busy this year.
Yeah, no worries. We'd be glad to have you. So I really kind of prioritize. I really prize consistency. So pretty much every Thursday is an opportunity to come out, Nobu.
And I am going to do my best to be there. And to you, dear listener, hopefully I'll see you there. Now, John, do you have any questions you want to ask me before we go?
Yeah. So, there's a good chance that somebody else has probably asked you this, but
I swear, if it's anything sandwich related, I'm ending this interview now and I am out.
No, it wasn't sandwich related. I wanted to know where you what kind of inspired you for the coffee shop kind of vibe motif for your show.
So that comes from two different places. One, I have a terrible coffee addiction. But also it primarily stems from my time in college, and I'm sure a lot of people who have been to a university can relate. When you need a quiet place to study, you're likely either going to a cafe or you're going to the university library, which tends to have a cafe in it. And because studying in your own dorm or in your own apartment or room in your house, wherever, can feel a bit off, because that's supposed to be your sort of private space, and you're mixing that with what could be viewed as your business, i.e. your classes and your homework. So cafes tend to be this nice sort of relaxing place where if you want to go and do business, you can. But also if you want to go there and just relax and have a nice long conversation, you can do that too. And when I was thinking about how I want this podcast to be, I really wanted to create that atmosphere. I really wanted to bring that sense of space to the podcast. And it was something that, like I said, I knew really well from my time in college. And even now, I will still go to cafes pretty often. And like the most recent time I went, I ordered a coffee, I sat down, I had a piece of paper and a pencil, and I started working on show notes. I mean, it's just I really like the nice, relaxed atmosphere that inherently comes with a cafe, and that's the energy I wanted to bring to this podcast.
Right on. Well, you've succeeded. It definitely has the cozy cafe vibe.
I
All right, I got one.
appreciate that.
I
All
got
right.
one more for you. I got one more for you.
Okay. And
All right,
again, not sandwich related.
what jobs are we going to see in 8.0?
Oh
What do you
my
want to
gosh.
see? What do you want to see, Nabu?
Okay, so here's the thing. If this was 6.0 or 7.0, I could I could give you good guesses on jobs. Like I would say, obviously Beastmaster is one that the community's been talking about for a long time.
Yeah, well, we're
If
getting Beastmaster as a limited job.
we are,
Yeah.
but now that we've kind of run out of a lot of the most well-known Final Fantasy classes, and now that they've introduced classes based on specific Final Fantasy characters, I could not tell you anymore. I cannot make a good guess. I will say though, there is one class that I have wanted for like 3 expansions now, and I will still hold out hope until the day the servers shut down. Is I would really like to have some version of Rune Knight. I feel like with paladins having the like mage tank category, that may never happen, but I personally would really enjoy a second, more like mage focused tank class, but also I'm a
My
DPS mage
man.
main. I have
Okay.
summoner, so I'm biased.
So, yeah, I've wanted a magic tank, like a caster tank, for so long because I think that it could be done really, like it'd be interesting. Um, the current tanks, like they're all very similar. You know what I mean? Like they, like their kits line up almost perfectly, with just a couple little differences between them. But yeah, I played Rune Knight for a while in Final Fantasy 11, and that's a magic tank, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a really cool class. So all right, I vouch that one. I vouch.
I really think that there is a space, DPS or tank. I think there is a solid space in game where, and I kind of expected this from Red Mage and was a little sad when we didn't get it. Um, there's a series of spells in Final Fantasy called Imbue Element that imbue your weapon with various elements like fire or lightning. I could
Yep.
easily see a DPS or tank have moves where obviously we were talking earlier, we don't really have elements like we used to when 14 first came out, but that doesn't stop thematically from a tank having an attack where like they imbue their blade with fire, and then another attack where they imbue their blade with lightning, and then you have different visuals based off that, because we've seen that with bosses. And I would
Yeah.
really like to see that from an actual player class, which is why I still hold out hope for Rune Knight. Um, if I could have any class, it would basically be a tank with varying elemental based moves. That's why, like I said, I think the closest thing we have is Paladin, which is why on the rare occasion I do tank, Paladin is my tank of choice. But I've told people, especially my free company, because I've talked about this for like 2 expansions now. If Rune Knight comes out, I'm dropping Paladin like a sack of potatoes. It's gone. And so I will keep holding out hope that we get like Rune Knight, Mystic Knight, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we could have the class be like 11 Rune Knight. I doubt it'll happen. Or we could just have a class basically based off of Celis from Final Fantasy VI. However they want to go about implementing that, I'm here for it.
Good pick. Yeah, good pick.
What about you?
So I'm a tank main, so you know what, I'll sign off on that. I'll co-sign on that one. I'm good. I mean, I wouldn't even. I don't know. Like I was saying, a magic based tank is what I would like to see, and that's what you said. So that's what I want. I've always played like tank as my main ever since I started 14. So anytime we get a new tank, I am pretty happy about it.
I think we're expected to get one in 8.0, aren't we?
I don't know. I mean, if we were getting to like an 8.0 discussion, I would rather see other things added prior to a new job. I know that Yoshida has said that, you know, that they've got to have a new job in a new expansion. I don't know what we'll get. You know, we've got room for another physical ranged class. Who knows? I don't know what the plan is. You know, they could add more limited jobs after the Beastmaster. I think it would be cool to see like the Puppet Master job from Final Fantasy XI. That was one of my favorites.
I really like Puppet Master, and I kind of hoped for that going into the new expansion, but realistically, I don't know how you do Puppet Master without it being a limited job, unfortunately.
I mean, I could see how they would do it without making it a limited job, similar to how they reworked Summoner into its current form.
True. I mean, I guess you could like pull out various types of puppets for different effects, and you can have that as a more stable rotation than like a limited job. But with seeing Beastmaster and seeing Blue Mage as limited jobs, I think we will probably see Puppet Master at some point, but if it's not a limited job, I'm going to be very surprised, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. If it comes and it's not limited, I'd be pretty surprised. But yeah, I don't know. I'd still just like to see it. I liked Puppet Master a lot. I liked tweaking all the different parts and coming up with different combos.
So please look forward to the 9.0 interview where John comes back and we sit here like old men for 30 minutes going, we were wrong about Puppet Master.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
look
you
at this
go.
new trailer. Oh gosh. I mean, part of me hopes, like, if I have to do that, please. I would love to have Puppet Master as a new physical DPS and not be a limited job. And I will definitely, John and I will be back talking about it if it happens, eating crow. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
But all that aside, John, thank you so much for being here. This was lovely. And it's nice. I mean, obviously, we chat outside of, you know, long interviews, but it's always nice just setting aside like a 3-hour block to just BS with a friend.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you inviting me. I've been looking forward to it. There's actually, you know, truth be told, there's only a few Final Fantasy content creators that I pretty regularly follow, and your show is one of my favorites. So I was pretty stoked to get an invite to come on and talk to you.
I mean, fortunately, you've also been someone who pretty much since I started the podcast has been very supportive of it. And I just want you to know that I really appreciate that. I mean, even back on like episode 3, I mean, you've been very supportive, you've been helpful with it, and I can't say thank you enough.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I mean, I think that there's lots of room for people to do creative stuff in the community. You know, it's for how popular it is, and you know, no shade towards anyone, but for how many people like make you know, like make YouTube videos or stream or whatever, there's it's kind of rare to find somebody that kind of like has a unique or creative spin on something. Um, uh, so I'm happy to see it, and I think that there's still more room for people to come in and kind of, you know, like share like their individual like opinions and creativity when it comes to like the things about the game that they're most interested in.
I agree.
I mean, aside from just PvP, like I am a fan of, you know, Final Fantasy 14, and I think that more people doing more creative stuff is always a good thing. So I'm a big advocate for that, and I've really enjoyed your show. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
And thank you for being here. And with that, I think I'll let you go. And I hope that you have a great night. And I hope that you and your wife have a wonderful holiday season. And Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy holidays to you and yours as well, my friend.
And January 15th, new PvP season.
Well, I mean, not a new season for PvP, but it's a new season for community roulette.
For organized PvP.
We did just start a new ranked season, though, so get out
That's
there
true.
and start ranking up.
Get experience in now. And remember, it's not too late to try and do PvP at FanFest. You got this.
Yep. Yeah, still not too late.
All right. Take care, man.
You too.
Bye. Oh, hey. Before we go, this is my second time trying to record this. There's something that I really wanted to talk about. So, Spotify Wrapped came out this year, and I know for a lot of people that tends to be, oh, well, what music did I listen to this year? But for podcasters, this is also where we get our stats, how well the podcast is doing, how well it's growing, etc. And this podcast actually got 3 different awards this year. And so I want to take a minute and I want to talk about them. The first was the 2025 Rising Star Award because apparently Coffee and Carbuncles show growth outpaced 78% of other podcasts on the platform. That is awesome. The second was a Marathon Streaming Award, which I don't know how much of that is people listening versus the fact that on average this podcast is about an hour and a half per episode, but I'll take it. But the third is the one that I really want to focus on, and the reason this is the second time recording this is because I got pretty choked up talking about it the first time. The podcast got a 2025 Most Shared Show Award. Apparently, Coffee and Carbuncles was linked and shared more than 90% of every other podcast. I never imagined this podcast being in the top 10% of anything, to be honest with you. Every time I see that, I am just so blown away, guys. I don't even know how to begin to tell you how wild that was the first time I saw it. And so I just want to take a minute at the end of this episode and say thank you. I mean, deeply, sincerely, thank you. My voice is cracking a little. I'm getting a little teary-eyed. For anyone who's listened to the podcast in 2025, regardless of if it was on Spotify or another platform or YouTube, I genuinely appreciate your support. Not only does it motivate me to make more episodes, but it also helps me know and remember that there is a place for content like this in the community. So, again, I just want to say thank you so much. Before I get too teary-eyed and my voice starts cracking more, though, I think we should probably go ahead and get to the outro. But thanks, guys. Well, I know he and I can talk for hours, and I hope we didn't go on for too long about off topic things, but that was a wonderful conversation. Organizing tournaments for Frontlines and Crystalline Conflict is no easy task, yet so many different groups and people are doing their best for their fellow adventurers, and I just have the deepest respect for everyone involved in that. I sincerely hope when the next season comes around, you and I can take part in it together, my friend, or at the very least, you choose to spectate. While it certainly isn't everyone's cup of tea, it could turn out to be yours, and I think that's worth giving it a try to find out. Well, I'm awake now, and I'm sure you are too. We've both had our drinks as well as great conversation. So I think this is the part where I say that I'll see you next time, right here, with a warm drink and wonderful guests. Happy Starlight. Take care.